Here we go. We're doing it, baby.
Wait, how's my hair?
It looks great, as always. And
Liar.
we are live. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Discipleship Track podcast. Hey, we are going to dive in and welcome our recorded audience, and then we are going to dive into our topic today. It's going to be a great one. So hang on for a second and let us get them, and then we will all jump in together. So let's do this. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for checking out this week's episode of the Discipleship Track podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Rob, joined, as always. Wow, a sigh already? We didn't even get started. Jeez. This is shaping up to be a great show. We are here because we have some things we got to work through. It was a deep cleansing breath. Yes, absolutely. It was a deep Everybody now, breath. As we start the episode, deep cleansing breath. Deep cleansing breath. There we go.
Feels good.
But anyway... We are here because, we're here, and I'm here, you're here, Patsy's here.
Everyone can hear me sighing.
We're here. We know Patsy's here. But we're all here because, like we said, every episode, we're here because we believe God has called us to live a life that is fully devoted to Him. But in order to do that, we've got to put in a little bit of work. It's not going to happen on its own. So we create these podcasts so that we can grow together. We hope you take us with you no matter where you are, whether you're walking the dog, putting up that Christmas tree, wrapping gifts. You know, at the time of the recording, we're like only a few days away from Christmas. It's amazing.
Somebody come help me wrap.
Seriously. And but wherever you are, we hope we get to be there with you so we can grow together. Today we got a really good topic. I really think it's a lot of fun just to kind of catch everybody up. Yeah. We started a couple of weeks ago. We started our Christmas series for the podcast because, again, at the time that we're recording this, we're only a few days away from Christmas.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas. It's in full swing here in Jersey. But I think it's pretty fun. Like, what we're talking about is how we can find hope on the horizon this Christmas. I think, sadly, as exciting as Christmas is for a lot of people, it's also incredibly depressing and intimidating and just nerve-wracking for a lot of people and can leave a lot of us feeling totally hopeless.
And I think for some people, too, it's a forced happiness. Like they're forcing you. It's like, it's Christmas. I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be excited.
Absolutely.
And we want them to know that there really is hope. It's not just something that shows up on a card.
Yeah, absolutely. So we thought it would be fun just to take for a few weeks and look at some of the main people that were involved in the original Christmas story because they all, in their own way, kind of were faced with some hopeless circumstances and situations. So we're looking at, okay, what was their circumstance? What was their situation that they were faced with? And how did they find hope? How did God give them hope in the midst of it? And what can we learn from that so we can have hope in our lives this Christmas as well? So we're going to dive in right away today because we are committed to 20 minutes this week. And we're going to dive in with the latest person in the Christmas story. And I like this one because I think it's someone that doesn't get a lot of airtime at Christmas.
Right.
We kind of breeze over him and
or her.
You never know.
We don't know.
But you kind of breeze over them. And you don't really know a whole lot about them, but what we do know, we can use to gain some hope.
Yeah.
So,
and the cool thing is, him or her is one of the most famous people because without this person, there is no Christmas story.
That is very true.
Not that there is no Christmas story, but there'd be a very different Christmas story. So we're calling this person the innkeeper. And the reason is because there's an assumption. We know one of the most famous lines from the story of the Christmas story is, Mary and Joseph went to the manger because there was no room for them in the inn. So it is assumed that they went to check in at an inn somewhere because there was a census. They were going to participate in the census. Joseph took Mary. She's at the time where she's about to deliver the baby. Cool thing is that was all fulfillment of prophecy because 900 years prior, it was prophesied that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. That's where it would happen. So here they go for the census that Caesar Augustus had called, and there's no room for them in the inn. So it's assumed that somebody had to tell them that there had to be an innkeeper. I love the innkeeper. I love the innkeeper because I can identify with him, and I'm just going to use the pronoun him for the sake of our conversation. So the innkeeper is packed. The reason he's packed is because it's the census. So there's literally 1 million people that are showing up in town. Everybody had to come from wherever they lived to their hometown to be counted in the census. Isn't it so cool that we have the internet now and you can just fill it out online? But it wasn't not so in those days. You had to get there. You had to get to your hometown. So they go to the inn, and the innkeeper, though, it's also assumed that he has some kind of compassion on them because he sends them to the manger. That's kind of what we assume in the storyline. So the thing that fascinates me about the innkeeper and why I talk about hope is what I see in this guy is that he just felt like he had no room in his life. He felt like everything was overwhelming, everything was overcrowded, everything was overpacked.
Yep.
But he didn't want to cast Jesus completely away. So he kept him close. You know, well, Jesus isn't born yet, but he's born that night, the night that he sends him away. And I just thought, let's just hang out here for a few minutes and talk about where in your life are you feeling in this season like you are just so overcrowded and there is no more room. And what is that looking like? How is that manifesting in your life? Yeah. Do you have something? Or just a generalized thought for for people about being overcrowded at Christmas?
Yeah. Well, I think 'tis the season to be overcrowded, right? Like, and it's funny because especially in the church world, right? Like my wife and I seem like every year right after Thanksgiving, we kind of just like look at each other and we're like, hey, we'll see you in a month, like, cause that's just the nature of the beast.
See you in the new year.
Here. Yeah, exactly. There's so much going on. There's so many things. And I sound like Olaf because I'm on a Frozen kick because we just took the kids to watch, but it's like
and it's like frozen outside today.
Yeah, it is frozen outside, but it's like you look at Christmas and it's like all good things, right? Like you get to hang out with friends and family, you get to do these things with your coworkers and all this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden you look and you're like, wow, like where did the day go? Where did the week go? Where did the Christmas season go? And I think unfortunately, I'm guilty of this, and maybe somebody else can relate. Unfortunately, when we tend to get really busy, like you're saying, the first thing to go is that closeness with Jesus. Yeah, right. Absolutely. It's like, oh, I'll pray later. Oh, I'll read the Bible tomorrow. Or I didn't hit it today. Let me get it tomorrow. I'll do double. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh wow, it's been an extended period of time, and I haven't even thought about connecting with Jesus.
I put him to the side. I want to keep him close, but not not necessarily involved, not necessarily letting him in. And if you read the story, it's the passage that we are for today is found in the Gospel of Luke. It's chapter 2 verses 1 through 20 is the whole story, because there's a lot more about the innkeeper that so the innkeeper sends them to the manger, again, assumed that that's what happens. This is where the baby is born. But then all this stuff starts happening around them. So the angels come to the shepherds. The shepherds leave their sheep and they're like freaking out because the angels are like, a savior has been born. They're like, oh, we got to go find him. So they go running down from the fields to find the savior. And they start telling everybody, what they heard from the angels. And I'm just wondering, now the innkeeper has to be listening to this. Like, was he looking out the window? Was he like, what's going on over there in the manger? Like, I sent this couple over there. Like, why is there such a ruckus over there? And I started thinking, are you struggling this Christmas, or is that what's happening to you this Christmas, that you're so overcrowded in your life, and yet you're looking out the window of your life and you're looking at other people who are really experiencing the true joy and meaning of Christmas, and you're going like, Dad, I got no room. There's no room for me. And what can we do to stop that? I imagine the innkeeper, this is how I love to imagine him, that the innkeeper put his little feather pen down on his desk and was like, that's it. I'm walking away from the desk and I got to go over there and I got to find out what's happening. And I'm just wondering, if you see that hope, if you're seeing it in somebody else today, will you just put the wrapping paper down, put the credit card down, put whatever it is down, and go and spend that time with Jesus and really find out, like, what's going on? What is this real Christmas story? Maybe just read this story in Luke chapter 2. Find out what the angels said. They had this amazing news that a savior was born. It wasn't just, somebody's going to come so we can have this big commercial holiday in 2,000 years and everyone can go into tremendous debt. It was about relieving debt, not creating debt. Yeah. And that's how, the enemy of our souls has turned the holiday into something that's stressful. So be the innkeeper, put the feather pen down and get out there. What could that look like for somebody? Getting closer to Jesus rather than staying busy.
Well, it's fun because a few years ago I did a study and we did a little teaching thing here at Powerhouse. And it was really good. It was called the Advent Conspiracy. And one of the things that it really encouraged people to do was to just slow down. Okay. Right? And this is a really simple one, but I think a fun one and maybe a little more abstract than what we're talking about. But, one of the things that we were talking about was, we tend to be so overwhelmed with buying gifts and these things and this big thing that you have to create and you have to do and all of these things. And they said, what if instead of looking at it as this big thing that you have to do, you use your opportunities for gifts to create moments with each other.
I love that.
And so that was one thing that my wife and I really took to heart, and we've been trying to do that a lot more. So instead of just like buying a thing for our kids, we'll buy something or create something that will lead to a moment together.
I love that.
Right. And so I think of that as something that you can absolutely 100% do with your time with the Lord as well. Like, don't just try to squeeze in something.
Right.
Find time to create a moment between you and him, where you're not just like hitting him on the go, where it's like, oh, I'll pray in the car while I'm going. But it's like, you know what, I'm going to go carve out a couple minutes of my time, grab a coffee or whatever it is, and I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to intentionally have a conversation with him.
Yeah. And you're cheating yourself. There's nothing wrong with the praying in the car. We love that. And
Sure.
Jesus will show up and he will be there in the car with you and he'll listen. But you're cheating yourself out of, it's like how I say, like the innkeeper's looking out the window going, what's going on over there? He cheated himself out of experiencing it firsthand because he didn't bring Jesus into the inn.
Exactly.
So don't cheat yourself out of it. Don't be the guy looking through the window going, what's going on over there with this whole reality of Christmas? Invite it instead into your life. But that's going to take, it is going to take making some changes. This morning in our house, David and I have a 100-year-old house. And we have steam radiators. So, this big steam thing in the basement that makes noise and it's kind of scary. But this morning, and anyone who's at a 100-year-old house, when the steam comes on, there's some banging that goes on in the house. Well, let me just tell you that today, I've never heard such loud banging. I was like, I think my house is going to blow up. I was a little nervous. So I'm like running down the stairs and, I see my husband sitting in the kitchen with his coffee and he was like, yeah, it's a little loud. And I was like, a little? I think we need to call somebody. So luckily my brother, shout out Eddie to my brother, is so great because this is what he does for a living. So I'm 6 o'clock in the morning on the phone with my brother going, something's really wrong here with our radiator. So he downstairs and we're sending pictures and I'm draining the water out. He's like, you got to turn this valve on. And what was coming out of the drain was this black, sooty, icky, disgusting, gross water. And we had to keep doing it over and over and over again. But I said to him, why was the banging so loud? Like, is it air in the pipes? And he goes, no. He said, what happened is the radiator, the whole system got overfilled with water. It was too full. And he said, then the steam comes, right? Are you getting the analogy here, guys? Then the steam
Picking up what
comes
you're putting down.
and it creates, he goes, then that water, all that pressure becomes, it's like a hammer against the pipe. It's like boom, boom, boom. And I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today. And I was like, oh Lord, this is like the best analogy ever. Like, you've got to drain some of the garbage, some of that crappy, disgusting water out of your life to make room, because otherwise you're just going to keep on feeling that banging and hearing those loud noises and not experiencing instead the sweetness and the warmth. Like now my heater, now everything's working nice. We have that nice quiet little hiss that it gives off. The house is warm and it's quiet. And that's exactly what God wants to offer us. Get rid of the garbage, and get to that sweet place.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that a lot.
And, I can fix your heater apparently too.
Yeah,
I'm very multi-talented.
Little side gig.
I need a little extra money. It's Christmas.
That's great.
Look, we just preach this stuff. I'm still going to go out and buy too many gifts. Come
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, I think it's so important that we recognize, like you said, and we're kind of hinting at, that in order to make room, you've got to make room.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the room's not just going to appear out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to... And it's hard. And I know, like, for many of us, we're sitting here, and if you're listening to this when we're recording it, like, it is the heart of the Christmas season. And it's like, oh, that's great, Rob. That's great, Patty. Yeah, let's slow down. Good luck. You
Thanks
see
a
my
lot.
schedule? But you know what? Like, I have a friend of mine that he always makes this joke where he says, you have the same 24 hours that Bill Gates has, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's always like, oh, if I only had more time. And he's like, no, you have the exact amount of time as everyone else in the world. It's just what you're choosing to do with it.
Right.
And so as hard as it is to say it, and as hard as it is to do it, if you really want to bring Jesus close, you want to bring him in the house, you've got to make the room. And sometimes the only way to do that is to just make the room.
Right.
You can think about it all you want. You can talk about it all you want. You can come up with a strategy for it. But the more you talk about it, the more time you're taking away from actually doing it. And
until
so
you
some
take
of
action.
us, you just have to get up and make room.
Yep.
It's not going to happen on its own. And
Sure.
it can be done.
Absolutely.
If you choose to do it. But if you don't choose to do it, you're right, it won't get done.
And it might be messy and it might be ugly, but if you want the banging to stop, if you want the overcrowding to stop, you have to take the action. Like I love what you just said. A lot of us are great at making the list, identifying the problem, admitting that there's too much there, but we never actually take the step to get rid of what we need to get rid of to invite Jesus in. So I guess one of the things I just want you guys to think about is when you think about the Christmas story and you think about the innkeeper, think about yourself. Is Jesus standing at your door, the door of your life, saying, I really like to come in. I'd like to come in. I'd like to stay with you. Don't be the innkeeper who says, like, I guess this is important. Like, I'll keep you close, but I can't invite you all the way in. I really think, I love to believe that this guy came to faith and we're going to meet him in heaven. When I get my heaven directory, it's going to be like, there's the innkeeper. Oh, let me go knock on his door. Hey, what was that all about? And he's going to say, you know what? You were right. I did. I looked out the window. I saw the shepherds come down. And that was it. I left everything and I went to Jesus. That could be you this Christmas. You could just say, I'm not saying blow your family off or stop buying gifts, but stop at some point in your day and say, I just want to have that time alone and really get the true hope of Christmas. Jesus came here to relieve us of debt, to help us recognize what's important in our lives, and to give us a future and a hope. That's the point. That's the whole message of Christmas, is embracing him.
That's right.
Don't let anyone take that away from you and say, no, it's all about, getting into debt. It's about getting out of debt.
That's right. Don't let anyone or anything take that away from you. I think maybe something that would be really beneficial for everybody, all of us, to do is like, okay, you're wrestling with this and you're like, okay, I need to give God some room in my life. I need to, make some room. I would take a second before you actually just make the room and ask him to show you what's filling up all the room in your life right now that's keeping you from him. Yeah. Like what things, we always say this a lot as a team, that, in order to say yes to something, you have to say no to something, right? And so if you're saying no, you don't have room for Jesus, what things have you said yes to before that are keeping you so full that you can't say yes to Jesus? And maybe you just need to take a second and say, okay, I got to clean out the clutter. Like you just said, I got to open the pipes and let the junk out because I've got so much stuff in here, and it may all be all good things, to quote Olaf, but you know what? They're probably not going to get you that much more connected to Jesus.
No, it's not. We have to remember, you're the innkeeper. I'm the innkeeper. You're the innkeeper. We get to decide what we let in. We get to decide what fills all the rooms in our life. And we get to decide whether or not we say to Jesus, come all the way in or just stay close. Close is not close enough. You have to let him into your life. You won't regret it. Jesus isn't going to come to take anything from you. He's not going to ruin your life. He's not going to make you unhappy. He comes to give you joy, to give you peace. That's why the angels were so excited. They're like, this is the best news ever. Totally. We're coming to tell you, like, the whole world is going to change. You won't regret. Be the best innkeeper that you can be this year for yourself, and say, I'm going to open up that space and I want to let God into my life. Right. You know what? Maybe you are listening to our podcast and you're not like a super religious person. So we love you. Welcome. We're not super religious either. Try something different this Christmas. Yeah. Maybe stop with the people at your table and just say, guys, let's just thank God for this moment. Just start there. I'm telling you, you're gonna text us and tell us, you're gonna email us and tell us stories about how everything changed if you do that. Just start there. Try that.
Yep. Just make room. Maybe it's the first time. Maybe it's the first room. Just make some kind of room. And I think that would probably be a really good place for us to stop, so that we could just give all of us the opportunity to just go. And maybe right now you want to just stop because we're going to end. And when this podcast is over, just take some time. Maybe here's your opportunity to either make room for the first time or to reintroduce yourself or to re-let him in and make some more room for him so that he can come in and he can spend some time with you. Because let's be real, when he does, your life will never be the same.
Yep. It's going to be the best Christmas ever.
That's right.
It can be.
So with that, I hope you guys had an awesome time. I hope you're walking away with just something a little more than you walked in with when we started the podcast. And, we would love to know from you. If you like, because we're keeping this one a little bit shorter lately, a little more concise. We want to hear from you. Do you like it this way? Do you miss the longer ones? Do you like the format, the topics, all that kind of stuff? But we want to hear from you because we say it every week. We're not just here to talk to ourselves. We're here to talk with you. And so we want to know what it is that we can talk about that's going to give you something that's going to actually be of benefit to you. So please, we want to hear from you in a few different ways. Number one, you can leave a comment below. You can just email us at any point at discipleshiptrack@powerhousecc.org. But just let us know if you got something you want to suggest, a topic, a future episode, whatever it may be, a comment, a question. We want to hear from you so that we can grow the community together and that we can actually be doing things that are going to make benefit to us.
Do you guys think we should get like coffee mugs or T-shirts
more comfy chairs?
More comfy chairs. Totally. We just want to hear silly stuff, serious stuff.
Say anything. Let us know.
I'm thinking
you're
a coffee
out there.
mug.
Listen, we're over 3,000 views and downloads and all that kind of stuff. What?
Because we need merch.
We need merch.
You didn't know I knew that word, did you?
Very good.
Ooh, look at me.
Gotta get some merch. Buy the merch. Now we're just real YouTubers.
We're going to buy our own merch.
We're real YouTubers now. But hey, listen, seriously, we're not just saying it because it's like, whoa, check this out. But like, we've had more than 3,000 listens and views and downloads to our stuff.
That's so exciting.
Someone out there is either watching it a lot. Oh,
and the light went out again.
Or, you guys are actually listening. So please, talk to us. We want to have a conversation. We want to hear from you. So please do that. And until next time, we hope you have an amazing week. Make some room for Jesus. And we can't wait to see you. We won't see you next week.
Next week is Christmas.
Or the week after because it's New Year's.
And New Year's. So we're going to wrap up because we have exciting. But that's okay because our last person is really after Jesus is born.
That's very
true. That's okay. It's okay. See, get excited. Something good's coming.
That is very true. And that just reminded me too, hey, we forgot to tell you that we created this little devotional for you.
Yes.
So maybe in the next couple of weeks, you can download the devotional. I'll link it in the description. And that way can follow along with it. And that'll hold you over until the new year. So until 2020...
Oh my gosh, we'll miss you guys.
We will miss you, but we hope you have an amazing
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Enjoy your time together with friends and family, and we will catch you next time.
See you soon.
On the Discipleship Track podcast. There we go. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.